Thank you. Welcome to the Brain Drain, not to be confused with the Tory conference, the Brain Dead. Tonight, a panel of experts will answer a range of questions such as, in Brighton this week, some of the Tory cabinet had a rough ride. What was her name? And during the run-up to the American elections, who has kissed the most babies? George Bush or Woody Allen? Now, let's see you in court, Woody. Now, let's meet our panel, and they are, as usual, Tony Hawks, who, since his recent appearances on this show, is already being stopped in the street and beaten up. Next to him, Sandy Toksvig, who made her name out of the bits of the alphabet nobody else wanted. And then Stephen Frost, ex-Carling Black Label ad man, who is both a very funny comedian and a very serious actor. Let's hope we got the right one here tonight. And finally, a man who was involved with Punch, and it closed down. He was involved with The Listener, and it closed down. And now he's involved with this programme. Alan Coren. Ladies and gentlemen, the panel. Don't forget, panel, it's well worth staying awake for because there's a very special prize to be given to the best drained brain of the evening. OK. Right. Now we go to our audience for a question. Is there a David Foster Smith here? Hello, David. What's your question, please?
If, as is suggested, the civil list is cut, can the panel think of ways the royal family could make some extra money?
Right, extra dosh for the Windsors, Alan. Any ideas?
Oh, God. Well, it pains me to have to say it, Jimmy. It probably set my knighthood back a week or two, but... I can't see why some of the younger women shouldn't do for spot cash what they're doing for fun. And given the fact that every time I go into a Greek cafe, the owner is shouting and swearing at somebody, I can see a wonderful little opening for any Greek that might be hanging around. I have to think about the older ones. I should think Princess Margaret and the Queen Mother could make a fair few bob testing breathalyzers.
Yes. Or destroying them, even. Stephen?
Well, there's quite a few of them, and they all come in various shapes and sizes.
I've noticed, yeah.
I think they could be an acrobatic troupe. You know, they've got you know, at the front of Buckingham Palace, the flying monarchs. Come on. And they could do, like, a really big human pyramid. And with Charles at the bottom, because he's got the ears, they can, you know, climb up. Yeah. Move out there. And then specialities like Diana, you know, diving Diana.
Yes.
See yourself throw down the stairs 3 times a week, you know, without getting injured. And the Queen, she could, you could watch her juggle her tax returns without the use of a hairnet.
Good. Sandy, any ideas?
Well, obviously, the royal family and their finance worries me constantly.
Yeah.
Awful for them if they didn't have the civil list. I read in the paper this week that the Queen was very upset because she gave some old clothes to a lady-in-waiting and who then sold them to a little shop in Chelsea. And they're now going to be in the film that's being made of Princess Diana's life. So they've had the real clothes of the Queen. And I thought there's a whole line here that they could go into the world of costuming, cinema. And you could have things like, you know, you saw it at the Bridlington, at the opening of the Bridlington Jam Jar Factory. It appeared in the St Thomas's Gynecological Ward. Now see Fergie's spotted dress in She Sucks. A major motion picture. I think it was rather good. The clothes could go out on their own and make money, and you wouldn't need to bother with the royals. Yeah. They could just stay home and count it. I think that would be fine.
Good. Tony?
Princess Margaret could take her empties back to the off-licence.
Yeah.
One way. Fergie could pose as centrefold for an Exchange and Mart.
Double spread, that, isn't it?
Double spread. But I think I'm a bit with Steve. I think it'd be good if they all got together and formed a band, a bit like the Osmonds did, or the Jackson 5. They could be the Windsor 48, couldn't they? And different ones could take different lead vocals on different tracks when they're out on the road, because I see them very much as a gigging band, Jimmy.
They are very good live.
They're great. They'd be great live. I think Princess Anne could do D-I-V-O-R-C-E.
Yeah. She probably couldn't spell it, though, could she? She might need a bit of help.
Well, if she knew the title, she'd obviously be able to spell it, wouldn't she? Because that is the spelling of it in the title.
Possibly, yeah.
It'd be no good. It'd be no good doing the sound checks though, because they'd be there doing the sound checks, going 1, 1, 1.
Right. Thank you very much, panel, for those miserable efforts, and I can say that Sandy is just poking out in front. And we got a letter here from Mr. Glyn Kelly of Merseyside, and he writes, I recently came across the unusual collective noun for a group of foxes, which is skulk. Have the panel got any interesting collective nouns of their own? I doubt it. Stephen, how about a plagiarism of comedians?
What about an account of bank managers, but that's with a silent O? And you could have of mime artists.
Yes. Sandy?
Well, a real one is it's a pomp of Pekingese, which I'm rather pleased with. That's absolutely, that's entirely true.
Well, I'm glad it's true.
It is true.
Because it's not very funny.
Not very funny, but you could have a trollop of cool gulls, I think, would be quite good. You could have a meller of sexual practices.
Yes, Tony.
A yawn of sitcoms, a despair of homeowners. They're getting better, I promise you. A crutch of Chippendales.
A crutch of Chippendale.
That's correct, yes.
Don't you mean crotch?
I'll say whatever...
Or is it one with a broken leg?
I don't know what they're using the crutch for, do you?
Really?
We're here to entertain and educate.
I'm sorry. Slightly depends how high the plaster goes, really, doesn't it?
Carry on, Tony.
A busload of people travelling on a bus.
Yeah.
And a bonk of Club 18 to 30 holidaymakers. A lot...
I'll leave you there for me. Alan?
I'm just noticing the way this audience takes it low and comes up high, and I've got to start the same way myself, because I was going to start off with... it occurred to me that a group of heads of civil service departments could be a lack of principles. But I thought they wouldn't like that, so I thought about...
I did it quite.
A group of shoemakers would be a load of cobblers. Then possibly, if you can imagine such a thing, a group of syphilitic sailors could be a dose of salt.
Thank you very much for that question. OK. And now a question from our audience. Are you there, John Millard?
Yes.
Right, what's your question, Millard?
Parliament will soon be recalled. If you could bring in a new law, what would it be?
Right. A new law, Stephen. What would it be?
Well, if you got arrested, say, and wrongly convicted for 15 years, when you come out, you should be able to commit a crime for less than or up to the original value of the initial crime.
Yeah.
I think, without getting nicked,
Alan?
No, mine's nothing as ambitious as that. Very small. I would like to introduce a law, John, to ban scented advertisements. There's nothing worse than opening a magazine having this spray of Arpège or Calvin Klein, because you then go home and it hangs on you for days, and you get these... You don't get these suspicious looks from your wife. There are these 8 men hanging around the gate who've been there for 2 days while it wore off you. But that's all I demand. Small law.
Yeah. Sandy?
Well, mine's a sort of unwritten law that I'd repeal, which is that why is it that all quiz show hosts have to be male?
I'm not male.
No, but obviously there's
I'm, in
been
fact, a dog.
There was a nationwide search to find you, but it's true that there's... Have you noticed that? That, with quiz shows, it's only men, isn't it? Only men who are able to go, yes, and do all that stuff, and it's a catchphrase! I don't know, this is why a woman can't do that. Is it because our hands are not big enough to hold index cards or something?
That was a cheap shot to get a round of applause, Sandy Toksvig, and I won't have it.
No, it's absolutely true. Why do they never see 2 women on a panel, do you? Never. I've only ever been on a panel 3 men and then there's Sandy.
No other woman...
They're terrified.
That's because they won't appear with you, you see, Sandy.
I think they're terrified we're going to start talking about panty liners or something.
Come on, lads, you can't be having this.
Would you do blockbusters if it was offered to you?
Yes!
Well, we'll come back to you later on that. Tony?
New law, a simple one. I think instead of putting the clocks back an hour in the winter, we'd put the clocks back 25 hours, then we'd all have an extra day off work. Be good. Also, there are far too many differing supermarkets. It should be standardised, the number of items you're allowed to take through the fast checkouts. It's 5 in some, 6 in another, 8 in another. You don't know where you are. This should be standardised throughout Europe, and it should be in the Maastricht Agreement. Referendum, get it in there now. And I'd like to see a law against boasting as well. There are too many big-headed people around, and frankly, we should have secret police in pubs, and if someone says something like, I'm really good at squash, you know, you hammer them away for 6 months.
Good. We've got a photo question now. Panel, Haber-Butchers, can you give this photograph a suitable title? Tony, you can kick this one off. They look like your kind of people.
They are my kind of people.
Yeah.
It's funny you should know that.
Yes.
I think this is Tory Maastricht disagreement causes shock cabinet reshuffle.
Yes. Sandy, do you know?
Bundesbank takes Sterling slide seriously. Or possibly Sellafield Women's Group.
Yes. All right, Steve.
I think what it actually is, it's an archive photograph of the great Morris Dancers strike of '72, and that's the picket line.
Right. Alan, do you want to round this
I
off?
should actually buy out of this round, Jimmy, because I recognise this. This is a still from a film called The Dirty Eight. It's about a group of men who, in October 1942, Morris danced into Rommel's headquarters. Though not out again, it has to be said.
Yeah, you're a sick man, Alan. OK, OK, let's try this one on for size. Now, what would be the most stupid thing to say to these two? Tony, you've got very stupid things. What would you say?
Yes. What about any chance of a snog? Or could you help me bump start my C5? Oh, the silliest thing you could say to these people is, while you've been polishing your pathetic motorbikes, I've had sex with both your wives.
Yes.
That would
Sandy.
be.
The worst thing to say to them, I think you'll find it was my right-of-way. Or did either of you two lose a guide dog?
Stephen.
If you're the children's entertainers, you're late. Or, that's a lovely big Harley Davidson you got there. I bet you've got a small dick.
Between the two of you, in fact. Yeah. Alan?
I think I'd say, excuse me, I think you're wearing a bit of my Mercedes. But I don't want it back, it's all right.
Good, thank you very much for that panel.
It suits you.
Very quick, simple question here now for the panel. What never ceases to amaze you, Stephen? What never ceases to amaze you?
Well, you know when a magician pulls a rabbit out of a hat?
Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant. I really love that.
Yeah.
Oh, no, obviously I know a lot of people in show business, but I never found out. Oh, brilliant, it's great.
Easily pleased. Tony?
Right, I'm...
That amazed you, didn't it?
It did amaze me. It never ceases to amaze me the way you always come to me like that. It's extraordinary. Now, I'm always amazed by the way telephone wire goes so squiggly. I don't know whether you've noticed that. It's always very tangled up and gets all kind of scrunched and horrid. And I see it and I'm amazed by it. And what else? I'm a sad figure.
Yeah, you are.
aren't I?
You're certainly easily amazed,
yes,
aren't you?
I'm also amazed that Dave Lee Travis has still got a show on Radio 1. Even though he's 105.
Yeah. All right. Sandy?
Well, it never ceases to amaze me that two women would sleep with David Mellor. I find that incredible.
Over to our audience now. Is there a Mr. Bill Lavender there? Right. Hello, Bill. What's your question?
In the week of the Tory party conference, what new slogan do you think it should have adopted?
Yes. Right. A new slogan for the Tories. Alan, tricky one.
Well, not really, because I remember the greatest slogan they ever had, which was, "You've never had it so good." So I think all they need to do is to make it a bit more concise, like, "You've had it."
Yes. Stephen?
Well, I can imagine John Major up there on the platform, the big sign behind him saying, vote Labour.
Yeah.
Or, whoops.
Yeah.
Get the feel of it, wouldn't it?
Sandy.
Well, I think for all the people in the conference to shout out, she's behind you.
Who's brought the paddle, maybe? Tony?
What about giving Britain a helping hand job? Or an honest one, which would just be, sorry, we're not doing very well at the moment.
Yeah. Right, at the end of that round, I can confidently say Stephen is coming into his own. OK, I've got a quick-fire round now from me, panel, so concentrate. You're about to hear some sound effects. I'd like you to tell me what is going on. Alan, here's one for you. What's that?
I think that's a recording of Mrs. Thatcher leaving office.
Yeah. All right. Tony, how about this one? Ah, yes. They're playing your song.
Yeah. This is me having a quiet night in.
Right. Nearly right. In fact, it is in fact one of Frank Boff's Desert Island discs. See you in court with Woody, Frank. All right, Sandy, get your logos around this one. Very obvious.
Prankster dips female condoms in chili sauce.
Yeah.
Oh, that's made me go all funny.
You know, it's exactly what I've got written down here. You wouldn't do that, would you? Stephen. Lovely.
That's someone who's just had a pint of Carling Black Label, I should think.
Good. We have a question now from our audience. Is there a meta hark here?
Yes.
Welcome to our planet.
Thank you. We had...
Meta, I'm sorry about that. What's your question, please?
My question is, if you had control over our evolution, what changes would you make to the way we have developed?
All right. Tony, would you like to see something stronger in your genes?
Yeah. I'm not showering with you again, I'll tell you that.
Thank God for that.
I think by now we should have evolved a bit more as humans. I think we should have wheels by now. So it'd be much easier to get around. And also, I think we should have Walkmans already in our heads. So we don't need to fit the things over the top and everything, and we can control them with our nipples. And that way, it'd be an interesting way of meeting new people at parties. You could say, here, let me tune that in for you.
Stephen, any improvements?
Yeah, I think eyebrows should be bushier and longer, so that when you start going bald, you can just comb them up. And you don't have that stupid going across bit.
Yeah.
You know,
Subject close to your heart, really. Alan?
Yeah.
I don't know why I just came to you then, but Alan?
Well, I was just hoping to keep my little corner down here innocent of all the mucky stuff that's going on at the other end, but I can't really, because there's a time when men of dishonour must stand up and be counted. I really rather think the male genitalia should be positioned on the top of the head. Just under the hat. It would enable busy cabinet ministers to have quickies without getting into trouble, and it would also protect you hugely, and there wouldn't be all that stuff of getting into the jacket and the shirt and doing the socks up. I mean, just put the hat on and 29 bucks and you're away.
How would you...
Don't even think about it.
How would you shave in the morning if these things you wouldn't be able
not that.
to sort of...
If you got excited, your hat would go up in the air.
And it would make...
that's another advantage.
And it would make a visit to the barbers an absolute nightmare, wouldn't it? A short back and... Oh! Sandy.
No, I think you're onto something here, because I certainly think that the area that needs tidying up is boys. I mean, it is a very dangly business, isn't it? It's not... and then they have no control over it at all. It's,
you speak for yourself.
I mean, I think something on press studs would be good. That you could take it out and use it when you need, you know. Dust it off and then pop it away again. And everything would be so much tidier.
All right. Stop it, all of you. Thank you very much, pals, and thank you for that question, Meta Hark. All right. OK, panel, steady on. A question now to test your artistic sensibilities. I'm going to show you a painting, and I'd like you to tell me what is going on. What's the story here, Sandy?
I think it's a typical family scene here, and he's saying to her, "Come on, you can't be that sick, let's play Twister." Or possibly it's a moment of real high drama, and he's saying to her, "I challenge you to a duel, and I choose this child as a weapon."
Yes, all right. Alan?
Rugger. I mean, it could well be a rugger picture. This woman on the right, I think the one in the bed has probably had a rough time in the scrum, and the one on the right is learning how to pass the baby to the tall bloke by the curtain who's then going to bang it down the line to the other kids and out the window.
Tony?
The tall bloke, this could be the tall bloke could be saying, catch the glove or the kids get it. What about, he could be saying, if we all link hands, we can communicate with Mother.
Could be an early clip from El Dorado, except that the acting's rather better in this.
Yeah. Stephen?
Right, OK. The man is saying, he's a doctor, and he's saying, "Congratulations, Mrs. Sooty, it's a glove."
Now the moment you've all been waiting for, our celebrity question. We're lucky to have with us in the studio sex god and top weatherman Michael Fish. Hello, Michael. Thanks for coming. What's your question, please?
Well, what changes could the panel suggest to make the presentation of weather more interesting?
Yes, not more accurate, more interesting.
Oh, we don't. We don't need that. We're accurate already.
OK, Mike. All right, Michael. All right. Gotta keep them down, these weather readers. All right. Tony, how would you make the weather more interesting?
Well, they've already seemed to have tried nearly everything there is to do. I don't know whether you've watched This Morning with Judy and Richard, my favourite show on television. But they have in that they have the weatherman. He's actually on a cutout of the British Isles in Liverpool Dock, and he sort of wanders around down and it's very good when he has to do Ireland because he has to jump across to Ireland. I've always thought that would be very good if he predicted high winds and was then blown out to sea. But I think, Michael, it would be more interesting, for instance, if you wore shorts. That would be interesting to me, anyway. Or lederhosen would be good. Or perhaps instead of doing the weather, you just told us about some of your early sexual conquests.
Yes. Or the more recent ones. Anyway, Stephen.
Well, I like the weather. I'm into weather and geography and things like that, so I watch it all the time. But I notice it is very good now with all the computers and the predictions and everything like that. But you've got that little thing in your hand, haven't you? And you try and hide it. You hold it down, and we can all see you've got it. And it changes by now. Oh, how do they do that? And we can see you doing that. We know it's there. So get it out there. Get out and smile when you change it. And tomorrow? No, let's go back. 2 days' time. And go, all right, really have a go at it. Get it out there, smile like Tony, get your hair cut, lose your glasses, and a moustache. It's not good. That's it. But he needs tidying up, doesn't he?
I didn't know that's what that was when he was doing that at the side.
My God. Alan, do you want to come
I think I could take that even further. I mean, I have to say that I find the weather one of the most interesting things on television. And after I get home and have seen this programme, I will think it's even more interesting. To pick up Steve's point about changes and uncertainties, I think it'd be quite good if you gambled on it. If you came on and you said, I'll give you 6 to 4, the winds light to variable with rain forming in the west later, but 7 to 2 on, you know, cloudy periods later in the day. I think it would cheer me up no end, and we could all run down to Joe Coral and have a couple of bob on him.
Sandy?
I honestly think it might be difficult to make it more interesting than you do, saying, you know, there's definitely not going to be a hurricane. You wake
You'll
up...
never live that down, Michael.
No, find your
You'll
house
never live that down.
destroyed. No, I love that. No, what I think about it is, I mean, I live in Surrey, and quite often what happens is you find... Can you not tell?
Oh, yes, I can tell you.
I live in Surrey. And quite often there's a cloud over the whole of Surrey. Just one big cloud over the whole of Surrey. And this is the weather for the whole of Surrey. And what I think would be better, there's 55 million people in the country, and you could write in and say, I'm having a picnic on Tuesday, and then you pick one person, and you tell them their weather for that day. You say, well, today it's Mrs. Fotherington. You're on for the picnic, Mrs. Fotherington. You're going to be all right, you see. And then there's one person who's completely happy.
OK, fine. Have you finished?
Probably.
OK. Michael, any help at all there?
Marvellous help,
Right.
yes.
Just before you go, what's the weather going to be like tomorrow?
Changeable.
So business as usual. Thank you very much, Michael Fish. OK, panel. Thinking caps on. Can you suggest titles for books that would never sell? Alan, wake up.
Can I suggest titles for books that will never sell?
No, I've just said that. That's the question. Yeah.
Try me. A Year in Cricklewood, Golfing for Cats, Tissues for Men, The Lady from Stalingrad Mansions.
Is this all one book, or is
No.
it...
No, I wrote all of those, and if you want to find out what sells and what doesn't sell, you ask me.
All right. There's the editor of Punch there speaking. OK. Sandy.
Books that would never sell. Linoleum, Its Origins and Uses, I think would be...
I've got that, actually.
A book that men wouldn't buy, Small, Penis and Proud, I think
Would it get bigger, the book, as you rubbed it? Or would it...
Fantasies. Toilet tissue, getting to the bottom of it.
Yes.
I've run out.
I'm pleased you have. It's a relief. Tony?
How to read, because if you... Yes, I was going to explain it, but you're too clever. Well done. Do-it-yourself hip replacement. The Bumper Book of Crap. The Complete Sonnets and Plays of William Shatner. And How to Cope After Your Own Death.
Yeah. Steve?
Clouds and what they sometimes look like. Body hair shaping and styling. A life-size atlas of the universe. A washing line almanac. And a pocket book of pockets.
Thank you very much, panel. Thank you for that question. Well... that was the last round, you'll be pleased to hear, and I can tell you that our winner tonight is Stephen Frost. And you'll be pleased to know, Stephen, that your special prize this week is a beautifully tooled pair of Michael Winner's underpants. Hello. Specially signed at the back. It just remains for me to thank our guests, Tony Hawk, Sandy Toksvig, Stephen Frost and Alan Coren. Just time to leave you with this question for you movie buffs at home. Apart from The Man in the Iron Mask, which other films did Frank Buff audition for? Good night.